a lot of people ask me, what is the actual practical utility of inTruth? How am I going to use inTruth in my everyday life? And okay, I want you to think of a problem that you're dealing with right now. Something that's annoying you. Maybe it's a relationship that there's a conflict, or maybe someone at work that you're avoiding, or a conversation that you need to have with your partner, or a fight that you're having with your partner. Now, I want you to just take a few seconds to sit with what comes up when you think about the path to genuinely resolve that conflict, right? Often what comes up is this feeling of overwhelm. I don't really, I feel like I don't really have much control over this situation. All these things start to kind of, reveal themselves and ricochet through our experience that makes us feel like we're at the effect of our lives and not the cause of our lives. Now imagine if inTruth was tracking you and it knew exactly what your emotional patterns were as it was relating to that particular relationship, that moment in time where the conflict arose. And you could go to inTruth just like you go to ChatGPT right now, and you could speak to it and say, hey, inTruth, I want to know exactly what the emotional reactions are that I experienced in that moment, in that conflict with that person. Or broadly, I want to understand what are the key emotional patterns that govern my life or govern how I show up in that particular relationship. And you had this way of actually tapping into this deep granular level of your subconscious through your physiology, just how incredible that would be. And this is what inTruth is unlocking for you. Some people will say, well, I don't need a technology to tell me what I'm feeling. And I want us to go a little deeper than that. I want to help you understand the true value of what we're bringing to the world. Because yes, in a general sense, you might know if you're feeling happy. You might know if you're feeling sad. But to know the data-driven nuances of how your nervous system is responding to every single situation that you're going through in your day, especially when we have very, very busy lives, what it's basically doing is giving you back this level of insight that, is essentially unparalleled. We've never had that ability to see so clearly what is actually driving our behavior. All of us have these patterns of behavior that we don't know how to break. We've interviewed a huge amount of allied health professionals and doctors through our process, right? And we always ask, what is the number one frustration you have when it comes to working with your clients? And almost every single time they will say, well, we give the client the information, but they don't implement that information in their lives. They don't actually take the action. Now, that's not an information problem. That's not an education problem. That's an emotional problem. Because the reason that the doctor's saying you need to eat less sugar and that person goes away and continues to eat more sugar is because there's an emotional pattern that's driving that addiction, that's driving that pattern of behavior. But the doctor doesn't know how to support that patient through an emotional intervention. And even a psychologist that's trained to work with the emotional state and the psychology of the individual isn't able to get that granular level of insight and detail. It's like, have you ever seen a therapist and you have a mental breakdown on Monday and your session is on Friday and you feel fine on Friday? So you walk into the session and the therapist is like, how was your week? And you're like, oh, my week was fine. But imagine if you could actually show the data of what you went through, what triggered that emotional breakdown on Monday, and actually use that as the directive for that session, how much deeper you could go into that therapeutic process. inTruth is giving you a 360-degree visibility over you. And why I'm passionate about that is because I know that when someone's level of emotional awareness and self-awareness is increased, they have a greater sense of agency. Here's the thing. The British Medical Journal in 2011 published the universal definition of health. Interestingly, that definition of health was essentially that health is agency. When someone feels they have agency over their mind, their body, and their emotional state, the greater someone's sense of choice, agency, sovereignty over themselves, the higher level of health they have. This is exactly what we're doing. We're giving people back a choice and freeing them of feeling like a victim all the time to their patterns of behavior, which are largely emotional.